Yes, thank you very much. So I'm very happy to discuss this conference, and I'm more happy because I came from Korea and I'm now working in Taiwan. So this is quite special time to me. So today I will discuss about hooking radiation and applications of instantons. But so in fact, in this conference, I wanted to report some new calculations about hooking radiation as instantons. But because since the calculations were not very completed, I will just briefly mention about hooking radiation part, and let me discuss about the applications of instantons in the context of information loss problem. So let's start about the information loss problem and black hole complementarity progress. So since a few decades, black hole complementarity was the interpretation of the information loss problem among especially string theorists, mainstream of string theorists. So Susskind or Toft and some other guys assumed this kind of assumptions. One is the unitarity. So a black hole will evaporate, but the process should be unitary. That is one. And the second one is that statistical entropy proportional to area. This is also expected. And there exists an observer who detect information from count and detect the states of information from Hawking radiation. This is also one hidden assumption. And one important assumption is that QFT, semi-classical QFT is true. This means that Hawking's calculation is correct until the end of the evaporation. And also, final assumption is that for ingoing observer, general relativity is also a good assumption until they reach the singularity. So, if we naively see these five assumptions, then there is no way to drop any one of them. All of the assumptions are quite reasonable. But Susskind correctly noticed that if we assume these five assumptions, then we have to introduce the duplication of information. So one copy is inside the event horizon, and the other copy should be outside the event horizon. And if we allow the duplication of information, then there may be some inconsistency. So I and my colleague found that by using some argument, Rajan rescaling, we can construct that there is an observer who can detect both duplicated information. And recently, it's a more famous paper, so AMPS, Almeida, Markov, Polchinski, and Sully recently discussed that by introducing some other entropic argument, again, they argued that these five assumptions cannot be true at the same time. So there is some inconsistency. So today I will not discuss the details of this argument, but I'm quite sure that if we consider this argument seriously, then anyway there is the duplication of information. So anyway we need to introduce the inconsistency. So such inconsistency should be detected by some constructive observer. These are denoted by these two arguments. So if we need to draw one of them, then what is wrong and what is true? So we don't know where, but according to AMPS, they draw the fifth assumption. So they draw that for ingoing observer, general relativity should be modified around, so even around the horizon scale. So if the horizon scale is modified, then around the horizon scale, the infolium observer may detect some particles. So some dramatic event happens. So they defined such a thing as a firewall. So this is the so-called firewall, quite famous. But this is just an ad hoc assumption. So there's no constructive explanation about firewall. So it is not clear whether firewall is a kind of a naked singularity or a kind of a portable, or whether it's a kind of I don't know, shockwave or something. So it's very unclear and it's very controversial. So regarding this context, I want to explain and I want to resolve the tension between these unitarity, QFT, and GR and these assumptions. And I think that we may get some wisdom from it's quite old paper, but we may get some intuition from Baldasana's paper. So in Maldacena considered the system of a black hole in ADS. So in three-dimensional ADS black holes. So it is a BTG black hole, and it's very well known, and it has a Hawking temperature, but it never evaporates because of thermodynamic properties. So according to this paper, Maldacena tried to calculate the correlation function between inside the event horizon and outside. And as time goes on, what happens? And Maldacena calculated the correlation function. So to calculate a well-defined correlation function, he have to analytically continue to the Euclidean time and paste the Euclidean manifolds and calculated the correlation function. And interestingly, it observed that it exponentially decays. So correlation exponentially decays means that so this black hole is eternal. So time goes to infinity. Then this means that any correlation between outside and inside will decay to zero. This means that there is no hope to recover information for the outside observer. So Maldacena noticed that this behavior is related to the loss of information in ADS black hole. However, if you believe that ADS and safety is related and safety is unitary, then anyway there should be some way to explain the restore of correlation. And what we can, so Maldacena noticed that when we do the Euclidean path integral, we have to consider not only this black hole geometry, but also there is some another geometry. This is the so-called periodically identified geometry. So in black hole case, there is a typical Euclidean period because of the horizon. So since the topology is non-trivial, we have some finite Euclidean time period. But when we do the path integral, we need to compare not only the black hole geometry, but also the periodically identified. Periodically identified, I mean that it is just antidistor, Euclidean antidistor. So in Euclidean antidistor, there is no special period. But to compare with the black hole geometry, we cut certain time, Euclidean time period that is the same as the black hole. And we identify this time surface, and then we obtain some trivial geometry. And if we calculate the correlation function through this trivial ADS, Euclidean ADS geometry, then of course there is no loss of correlation. And this factor is the probability of this red curve. So although the probability is exponentially suppressed, the correlation never decays to zero. So this means that if we path integral over every space, then correlation will be recovered through this trivial geometry, and because of this, ADS can be unitary, and we can restore the unitarity. That is the idea of Maldacena in 2001. But this is a very nice argument. But this is everything was defined in the Euclidean path integral approach. But we live in the Lorentzian universe, and so we live in the Euclidean time. So then, what is the interpretation? So this is slightly controversial. So there are two controversial interpretations for the Lorentzian observer. One traditional interpretation is that Maldacena himself and Susskind and the other people thought that the correlation will be recovered, and this is encoded by the Hawking radiation. So Hawking radiation indeed contains information. That is one interpretation. But now we can argue that this is very inconsistent. So AMP has shown, and Rajan rescaling argument also shown that this cannot be true. Then what is the alternative interpretation? But interestingly, a few years ago, Hawking himself said interpreted differently. So according to Hawking, this first history and the second history both are a kind of double slit experiment. So if we see the both of paths, then it is unitary. But if we only follow one special, the most probable history, then we already lost the unitarity because it's a kind of double slit experiment. So if I know that on electron pass one special slit, then already we lost the unitarity, and we should see the particle property, not the wave property. So this observer cannot get information from Hawking radiation. If we see the black hole geometry, then he okay, observer lose the information, but it doesn't imply that unitarity is lost. So this is a kind of effective loss of information. So this is a quite famous paper in 2005, and Hawking changed his opinion. And in the conclusion section, he commented that how does information get out of a black hole? So he couldn't answer correctly exactly because one cannot ask when the information gets out of a black hole, because that would require the use of semi-classical metric, which has already lost the information. So to say that when the information comes out and when the Hawking radiation take the information, to say such kind of things, we have to rely on the semi-classical metric, but it already lost the information because information should be recovered by the path integral over the entire contributions. So this is the Hawking's interpretation and Hawking's wisdom. And this is a very recent conference paper of Hawking, and he commented that the weather forecasting information will effectively be lost, although there will be no loss of unity. So even though entire path integral is unitary, maybe we effectively lost the information through a special semi-classical geometry. So up to now, I discussed about opinions of Maldacena or Hawking or such interpretations, but up to now there is no explicit construction in terms of Lorentzian geometry. So what happens in the Lorentzian geometry? So in Lorentzian geometry, gravitational collapse happens, and so evaporation happens. And in this context, how to embed this idea? So this is the work I and Professor Sasaki did in recently. So on explicit construction of effective loss of information with a very well-defined setup. So in the paper, we considered the antidistor space-time and true vacuum bubble in antidistor space. So it is antidistor background, but there appears a true vacuum bubble with much lower vacuum than the background. But the geometry is very simple. So it's a spherical symmetry in 4 dimensions, and outside the geometry is Schwarzschild antidistor. Inside is also Schwarzschild antidistor, but we will choose m minus is 0. So inside is just a regular antidistor, and outside is Schwarzschild. And between outside and inside, we have to impose the junction condition. This is the so-called well-known Israel junction condition. And by squaring both sides, we can reorganize the equations like this form. So R is the small r is the location of the shell, and R2 square is the velocity of the shell, and it should be always positive definite. So this means that this effective potential should be always negative to allow the Lorentzian history. So this is the one example of some parameters, and for given m plus mass of the black hole, and for a given L plus the cosmological constant for outside, and we will choose m minus 0. So for given any value, by tuning L minus one parameter, this effective potential allows a bouncing solution. So this is the effective potential, and here is the negative region, and here is also the negative region. So if a solution behaves this way, then this starts from 0 and reaches the maximum radius and go back to 0. This is the collapsing solution, symmetric collapsing solution. But if there is a 0 here, then solution can start from infinity and reach to minimum and go back to infinity again. So this is a symmetric bouncing solution. Symmetric bouncing solution is very important because between here and there is no Lorentzian solution, but there can be Euclidean solution from here to there. So this means that the tunneling between here and there can be possible. So let's first classify the classical trajectories for symmetric collapsing solution and symmetric bouncing solutions. For symmetric collapsing solutions, inside is pure ADS, and it begins from 0 and reaches maximum and go back to 0 again. 0 and maximum and 0 again. By cutting inside and outside and paste, we obtain this solution. And for bouncing solution, we begin from infinity and reach to minimum and infinity again. And infinity and minimum in infinity again. And by cutting this yellow part and outside the part, we paste this bouncing solution. An important point is that for this bouncing symmetric bouncing solution, there is no singularity, and this contains a singularity. So this is a kind of gravitational collapse and forms the singularity. But in this case, there is no singularity because it's just outside the event horizon. And then the question is, what happens if tunneling happens? So this is the most probable usual semi-classical geometry. So maybe we can forget about the initial singularity because we can build some regular initial condition that derive the gravitational collapse, and gravitational collapse generates the singularity and event horizon. This is the semi-classical, very well known, the most probable geometry. But this collapsing shell can tunnel to the maximum address and to the bouncing solution. So such tunneling is possible, and this is very well known since 1980s. So this is called by Fislov and Polchinski tunneling or Farey-Bush-Guben tunneling. So according to this tunneling, the small shell to large shell tunneling is possible, and again we don't need to worry about the initial singularity because we can assume that some regular condition generate this shell. So if we remove this initial singularity, then at once this tunneling happens, here there is no singularity. So here there is a singularity, but there is no singularity for if there is a non-perturbative tunneling from small shell to bouncing shell, then the entire geometry will be trivial. So now let's ask about the correlation functions. If we are a semi-classical observer, then probably we will see this geometry because this is the most probable geometry. And then here general relativity is satisfied well, and also quantum field theory is well satisfied well. But according to Maldaceni's calculation, we lost the correlation. So this is not unitary, but GR and QFT is okay. However, if you are a unitary observer, then you should see all contribution from here and there. Then effectively the geometry should be described by the weighted sum of its geometry. So P1 is maybe order 1 and P2 is exponentially suppressed. So this is G mu nu 1 and this is G mu nu 2. So G mu nu 1 and G mu nu 2 satisfies GR independently, but this weighted sum doesn't necessarily satisfy general relativity. So in this sense, for the unitary observer, GR may not be satisfied. However, in terms of correlation functions, correlation function over here decays to 0, but correlation function over here may be constant, may be finite. So in the end, the correlation function of every historist will behave like this one. So although it is exponentially suppressed, there will be some constant contribution. So in this sense, if we see every historist, then it is unitary. So the point is that we get the unitarity, and we lose the general relativity. So this resolves the tension between QFT-GR and unitarity. So maybe so we can extend our interpretation. So this is the usual semi-classical geometry with collapsing matter and evaporation of Hawking radiation, and probability is highest. But if there is some non-perturbative channel via, for example, instantons, and if the topology is changed to trivial way, then even though the probability is very small, for unitary observer, he loses general relativity and he will restore every correlation because of this trivial geometry solution. But for semi-classical observer, he will see the most probable history, and he will satisfy GR and QFT, and he will lose unitarity. So I think that this kind of argument very elegantly explains the tensions between GR, QFT, and unitarity. Then until now, what we exactly shown is just the ADS potential case. And the question is, can this be generalized for much more natural setup? So what we shown in previous paper is until this the essential case, but it is very limited system. Then the question is, can we prove this assumption? For every black hole, there exists non-perturbative history that has a trivial topology and independent classical element. So can we generalize for this argument for every general black holes? If it is the case, then I'm quite sure that we can understand the information loss problem, and we can elegantly solve the tensions between QFT, GR, and unitary. So can you generalize? Until I don't have the very general proof, but I believe so, and I think that we can show some evidences. So this is the topic we are still working. So Professor Pisten Chen and Guillaume Dominic, student of Professor Sasaki and myself are working in this topic. And today I cannot show the very details of this conclusion, but let me briefly explain that Hawking radiation can be interpreted by instantons, and we may construct a much more complicated instantons that reduce the trivial topology. So let's go back to the very old paper, so Hartrop-King's paper in 1976, the very famous paper. And in this paper, they wanted to calculate the Hawking radiation using the tunneling method. So they considered that tunneling of a particle from B to A. So from B to C, go backward in time, and from C to A, go forward in time. So he wanted to calculate the probability positive from B, C, A. So, but the most dominant contribution of this tunneling process can be calculated by the Euclidean analytic continuation. So, by Euclidean analytic continuation, Hawkingian part mean that the analytic continuation of this side. So, through the Euclidean manifold, this particle can move to the antipodal point D, from D to antipodal point D, and from D to A, it is connected by the Lorentzian path, null path. So the probability contribution is calculated by the Euclidean path, this halfway of the Euclidean manifold, and this gives the correct Boltzmann vector. So this is the Hartrop-Hawking trick to calculate the tunneling rate. But maybe if we rely on the analytic continuation of this slice, then the Euclidean manifold is not well defined because the signature is plus plus minus minus. So the manifold is not well defined. So to define more well defined manifold, maybe we can consider the tunneling between this and wing rotate outside the event horizon and go to future infinity. So if we choose this path, then maybe we can calculate the same probability as well as a well-defined Euclidean geometry. And one more interesting point is that previously Parikh and Milcek calculated the tunneling of particles from between two null geodesics. So Parikh and Milcek didn't rely on the Euclidean analytic continuation, but they calculated the tunneling rate between two null geodesics, and maybe we can compare their result and the Euclidean action integral result. So they seem quite consistent, and this diagram seems to connect between Parikh-Milcek's method and Hartrop-Hawking's this tunneling method because of the analyticity and so on. So I think that in the particle level, this Euclidean analytic continuation and this manifold can be a very good way to interpret Hawking radiation in the particle level. Then the question is, how about the field level? So anyway, instanton is the classical field theory, and classical field is many particles of some classical particles. So I believe that we can generalize this argument in many particle case, and we can generalize this expression in the classical field level, and then eventually we can interpret every process as the instantons, and we can calculate the probabilities and so on. But still, I cannot finish to calculate every details of this process. So let me postpone to report whether this works very well even in the field level or not. So let me postpone to next paper. So let me conclude. So regarding this issue, there are some progresses, but this is still in progress. So there should be a field level generalization of cooking radiation. That is my opinion. And if it is possible, then first it should show the thermal behaviors. If it doesn't give thermal behaviors, then it is not cooking radiation. So I believe that it should behave like the thermal behaviors, thermal properties, and also there may be some instances that is highly suppressed but induces trivial topology. It means that it radiates lots of energy. And probability is suppressed, but it can be very constructive. But still, I need to get some more evidence to prove this assertion. And I think that if we can show this, then this will shed some light to understand the information loss problem of black holes. That's all.
Questions?
You would also say you can derive the effective theory for the ingoing observer. Say it's not GR. Is that one of the issues you would like to address also?
Yes. That's right. So, for example, for the unitary observer, he should see this kind of geometry, but this doesn't necessarily satisfy the Einstein equation.
So do you know which equation it will satisfy? Or is that principle you can derive that?
For this equation, I'm not sure. But for each G1 and G2, we know that each should satisfy GR equation. Yeah. But I don't know what is the suitable equation for this equation.
Can that be derived?
I'm not sure, but up to now I cannot.
You would like to?
I hope so.
Yeah, I also have a related question. So
Yes.
when you talk about the black holes, that's a unique thing associated with the general relativity. So then you list several of the conditions. Say, okay, let's throw away the general relativity, and then you discuss black holes.
Yeah,
so
right.
does that make sense?
You mean A and B?
Yeah, that's right. So then you without the GR, you don't talk about the black holes.
That's right.
Yeah, so
the
that
theory which
Yeah, that's right. I agree. So it's a very ad hoc.
Okay. Other questions? Well, let's thank the speaker.